As one of the founders of the IT industry in India, how's the journey been so far, watching the industry going from being small to being very huge today?
I think the young population and great university education and science and engineering education, which made the difference. And then rest we had to organize and learn from the West, all the techniques and languages and all the technologies we brought in India. We trained ourselves and went back to them.
But this you're talking about, does it have to be very formal?
Yes, we have to have a formal education because most of the immigration policies of the governments overseas demand that they have a good degree.
Sometime around 1995 to about 2000, the Bollywood industry experienced some kind of issues. How did technology help to play a role in Bollywood becoming what it is today?
Well, the technology, more than technology, I think it was the impact of the national security and the, all that. Because earlier a lot of financing was being done by, the underground, and I think in 90s, due to other situations, there was a lot of pressure which came on them, and they ran away from the country. And then it suddenly became more professional by professional bodies coming into as financiers. Also a lot of foreign companies, all the studios came in, and suddenly it became then professional.
So what would you say the role of technology has been in all this?
Technology has in, the direct-to-home television plays a big role, because Bollywood is, two parts. One is which is strictly Bollywood on the lines of Hollywood, which is like movies. And then there are serials, which likes of what you do here. So that evolved actually again in 90s when the TV channels, private channels came in, and they started contracting for these soaps and serials. So that created a parallel industry, and they run almost parallel. So most of the stars are exclusive to each other, and not most of the Hollywood stars play on the television, and vice versa. So we have two different industries now, complementing each other in the sense that a lot of technical stuff is common across. So the sound and the recordings and all that is common. So the studios now have more permanent features where they can do serials and soaps. At the same time, they can also do the movies.
How do you think technology can help in curbing piracy? Because piracy is one of the biggest challenges that the Nigerian Nollywood industry has today.
Well, piracy is a global phenomenon because a movie is launched and immediately it is copied and shown elsewhere. The ways it was happening is that when we sent the positive to the theaters, they copied it there. They ran a special show and copied it. But now India has developed a whole mechanism, and that was one of the technologies that I think was launched in 90s, where direct to theater. So the movies were directly relate to the theater, called UFOs. So now there are thousands of screens where there's no positive played, which is just directly played from the hard disk. You don't have to create positive prints, which is expensive, because if you launch a movie in 1,500 theaters, then you need 1,500 prints, which is a lot of expense. So now, so not only that piracy gets eradicated, but you also don't have to pay for the positives.
Would you say that Nigeria is taking the right steps when it comes to IT development?
Well, there's not a possibility. I would say you're starting on the right foot. I've been here for 2 years now, and I can see you're talking about cashless society, which is fantastic, because if you do, then there's no black money, there's no cash, and a lot of underhand dealings go away. So I think accountability, the payment of tax, the government has far more control than over the tax and so on now. And especially now it's required because when the oil is not what it used to be, it's required that every income is transparent, the government knows about it, and every honest transaction is captured and tax is paid on it, because finally it is the contribution of the citizens to pay tax, and which is then used by the people. So I think the systems have to be developed. It can't happen in one day, but the government is on the right path, especially one I heard today.
40 years in the IT industry in India is no joke. And I'm sure you have a lot of experiences to share. Now, what are those learning curves that Nigeria can learn from your experience, what happened in India?
We, 20 years back, we used to have the cases where the booth will be captured and they will run away with the if they saw that they were going to lose the elections.
That happened in India as well.
Oh, of course, 20 years back, 30 years back, it was a very normal feature. The strong men will come and capture the booth and will ask you to vote, or or take somebody else's name and vote. But with electronic voting, since last especially 2 general elections, it has completely, I think we have outperformed any country of the West, where it's completely electronic, and after the election is over on a day, on the next day, within 4 hours, all the results are out. So it's absolutely mind-boggling. There's no chance for anything to happen now. So I think election reforms also build the confidence in the people, and also then smooth transitioning because there's no foul play expected. And this all happened also in the reform with the Election Commission. Election Commission again became independent body. It had its own financial allocations provided in the constitution, and which was given by the parliament. And that finally brings the confidence of the people. So when a change of government happens, it's smooth. Nobody questions that, I think. And that's what is extremely important. So that's certainly being vibrant democracies, I think we can learn from, each other. And I'm sure, that kind of cooperation can be given. And we have a very large country like yourself, big population. So certainly very beneficial. And certainly in IT industry, again, you have a big population of youth, or 60% population is under 24. And so that's very promising. And again, education is something, again, we did that in last decade, if you see, decade and a half. We have transformed, we allowed the private companies to come in education, which was earlier largely controlled by the government. So from a socialist, we became also a mixed economy. Most of the countries, the whole non-line movement, most of the countries were left-oriented, including India.
Could it be that Pune is learning from the Silicon Valley experiences, where the success story comes from the number of universities around the ecosystem?
And yeah, Silicon Valley was inspiring. So in America, there are 2 such centers. One is, of course, the Silicon Valley, San Jose, and second is Cambridge in Massachusetts. And if you observe, Stanford, Berkeley, the University of California, Los Angeles, they all contributed to, along with the entrepreneurs, and also the whole banking systems and the angels. They all came in and created that, the Park Place, Xerox Labs, all that helped basically create the industry of the future. Bangalore got saturated.
Yeah, Bangalore is...
the city can only take so much.
Yeah, that's true.
And Pune still is proximity to Bombay. Mumbai is a very saturated city in terms of population. There's not much room to expand because it's peninsula. So I think it gave room to Pune. Pune is only 150 kilometers away. It's at 2,000 feet above sea level, so weather is better.
The air is fresher.
Air is fresher, absolutely, and moderate weather. So and it's a beautiful city, and so it gave chance to planning the city better, and IT infrastructure better, and that's where then. So in last decade, last 10 years, especially in fact we came to 2000, and I think we were one of the first companies to start operation.
Finally, before I let you go, as a grandfather of the IT industry in India, what is that one experience that you think we should take home?
Well, I will say go for it. You have all the potential to be what we have done, and we are ready to exchange every idea and every experience that we have had to impart. And I think the only word I would say is go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Singh, for being on Tech Trends today.
Thank you so much.
This is where we draw the curtain on the very first edition of 2016. But as usual, we are kicking off the conversation online after the short holiday break, so join us there. You can watch the entire show on the Channels TV YouTube account or via my blog, techsmart.ng. For Tech Trends, I am Chukwemeka Agbata. Here's wishing you a fantastic 2016.